spot. The Guam War Claims Processing Center is scheduled to open tomorrow at the Guam Museum. And joining us live in our Zoom room is DOA Deputy Director Bernie Guinness, as well as DOA Benefits Manager Leonora Condasso, to talk about tomorrow's big day. Thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, Bree.
Thank you so much. I guess, Bernie, let's just start with who specifically can apply, and if we can kind of break down the claim categories.
Okay. I mean, I know it's quite a handful. You know, first of all, we'd like to thank Governor, Lieutenant Governor, who is pushing forward the compensation to the survivors and then also to the descendants of those who were part of the atrocities of World War II, which established the public law 3673, which is the Guam World War II Reconciliation Act of 2021, which created the local program, which also established the War Claims Processing Center. So with that, you know, certainly for those who missed the initial federal war claims deadline back in June 2018, certainly this is another opportunity for them to apply. Of course, there is eligibility involved, and for those who also applied back in 2018 and who received compensation or were denied compensation, certainly there's criteria, and unfortunately for those individuals, they are not able to apply. But what I'll have is Ms. Leo, who and her team has worked diligently in the past several months in really preparing and putting the packets together and creating the processes for this new War Claims Processing Center. They were the team that was very instrumental in combining all of the documentation. So we're very proud of that grouping, Ms. Leo and her crew. So I'll turn it over to Leo. She can explain the eligibility portion of it. And then after that, we can talk about the opening tomorrow.
Okay.
Ms. Leo?
Hi, Leo.
Hi. Hello, hi. Thank you for having us again.
Good afternoon.
So for the good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Guam. So for the eligibility period parts, or three components for those that can file. The first component, we would have the descendant, the decedent. The decedent really are those individuals who died during the Japanese attack, the Japanese occupation, and or the incident to the liberation of Guam by the U.S. military forces. So that's the first category. Then we also have the category, we refer to them as victims. The victims really can be categorized more into the living and or deceased. For those individuals who survived the occupation or survived the attack or the liberation, they would have to have been living as of December 23rd, 2016. Those individuals are the ones that can file as victims, right? So for those categories, we have the living and the deceased. And so if you are living as of December 23rd, 2016, you can file. If you're living and passed thereafter, family members can file on your behalf, strictly down to the parent or the child of the deceased victim. Within those categories, for the decedent, again, the decedents would be categorized as those who passed away during the war or the occupation or the liberation. They are, the award for that is a $25,000 claim. For the decedents, or the victims, categorized again by living or those deceased, is broken down by a $10,000, a $12,000, and a $15,000 claim benefit.
Now, ladies, if I may, I remember covering the first Guam war claims when claimants would show up in person at the old Hakubotan building. I mean, it was such an emotional as well as a historic day. Of course, for everybody watching this right now, you can pick up packets at your village mayor's office, at the Guam Museum down in Naganya, or you can go online to DOA's website at doa.guam.gov. Ladies, how much of a response do you anticipate of people showing up tomorrow to make those claims?
Really, you know, at this point, I know that there was a petition initially to back several years ago, and I know that there's a number of 700 that is kind of floating around there, but we really don't quite know. So, you know, for tomorrow's opening, which we're very happy to announce the War Claim Processing Center's opening, you know, we'll anticipate as much as we, we're prepared, we'll anticipate who will be coming by. You know, as far as picking, and thank you for announcing where the location to pick up the applications and where it's going to be available. For the Guam Museum, we've also created what is out in the front, of the museum, we have a pickup application drive-through, so that if the individuals or the family members choose not to go inside, they certainly can just drive through and then pick up the application. But for the entrance, we have the entranceway of to pick out if they were going to do a walkthrough and pick up the application, or if they're ready to submit it. The entranceway would be down at the Skinner Plaza area. The back courtyard of the museum would be the main entrance. But again, like you said, it's also available at the village mayor's offices. We have it online, so they can also, for those who are off island as well, they can take a look at it online and download the application.
What about, is there any sort of documents that these claimants are going to need when they turn in the application?
Ms. Leo?
Yes, I'll go ahead and answer that. So that's a perfect question. Yes, there are different documents, really depending on what category you fall under. There are 3 categories, like I mentioned before. So definitely we will need birth certificate, forms of government issued ID. And for those who are trying to file on behalf of their deceased family, parent, or child, we will need death certificates. Also understanding that, of course, back in the war, there's questions about not having IDs, not having death certificate. Those are things that we're ready to address, but we won't need any supporting documents or anything that they can do to go ahead and support, the application that they're going to submit. So first and foremost, just to recap, IDs of the claimant, IDs of the deceased individual, and any birth certificate or death certificate to submit with the application.
Leo, may I ask, this is Jason again, is there any indication of the turnaround time, and like when the claims are properly filed and if they're in the correct order, when can claimants expect to receive the compensation?
The committee, the adjudication committee, really, their timeline is to meet weekly. I believe the first meeting with the committee will be on April 13th. So the goal is to go ahead and forward, once it kind of vets through the processing center, we're going to go ahead and forward to the adjudication committee to render a decision. So when they do render a decision, there is an appeal process that's set up. So when the committee decides, we will send out the notices. The claimants or the victims deceased, they have 15 days to appeal. From then on is when, after that 15 days has lapsed, and everything will be brought over to DOA. If they don't contest, if they don't file an appeal, then we will process that for payment. So when DOA receives that, we're ready to process. I think we're looking about 3 to 5 days, to process, depending on how many claims we get in. Again, that's after the appeals process of 15 days has lapsed.
Well done.
What about if a claimant is homebound or they don't have access to a computer?
Well, at this point, we are trying to really mirror up what we did in the first program. So we're looking at all different avenues, trying to be accessible as possible. So we are looking to do homebound visits. That is something that we may roll out in the next few weeks. What we want to do is kind of get through the crowd that's going to come into the center tomorrow when we open, but we are going to start taking names and start rolling out the homebound. What we really want claimants to do is, take a look at the packet, go through it, because it's pretty lengthy. There's a lot of information. There's testimonies that they have to put in. It really gets emotional, at least from the first program that we put out. So we really encourage them to at least take a look at it, fill out as much as possible. And when we do the homebound visits, we're there to, offer additional help and just guidance and just, whatever they don't fully understand.
All right, thank you, Bernie, Leo, for joining us real quickly. What time does the office open tomorrow? Phone number, website?
So tomorrow, the office will be open from 9 to 3, Monday through Friday. The website that they can go to take a look at for more information, frequently asked questions, will be at doa.guam.gov. And then the contact number is 989-9277 or 9278. So again, it's going to be down at the Guam Museum. We thank the museum for hosting us. And again, the filing period is starting tomorrow all the way to March 30th of 2023.
Okay, 1 year.
Sure, yeah.
Well, thank you, ladies, and you know, best of luck for your team. Thank you guys for what you're doing, and certainly what is a lot of people believe a very overdue system, but certainly something that's going to be for everybody involved, including yourselves and your team, very, very emotional.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bernie. Thanks, Leo. And stay tuned. We'll wrap up our program after the break.
Get up to the